good day, everyone, and welcome. Well, it seems for whatever reason, the intro didn't come through. So you saw me staring at the screen with Shed Dog walking around. Righto, ironically. So if you can hear me, give us a 5x5. Hopefully everything's all right. It sounds good this end. And yeah. Oh, hang on. I've got to go do something. I'll be back. Sorry, folks. Righto, I'm here. I'm back. For those of you who don't know, or as you can see, it's been raining here. And if you're in the chat early, you would have seen AJ and myself talking about the rain. Thanks, Roger. I appreciate it. Yeah, we've had more rain here, more rain. Like, I think I've got about 45 mil in the gauge or something like that. It's absolutely crazy. And right, everything seems to be good there. Good there. I'll just have a sip of my tea. I've also, a bit later on, I've got the water as well. So I'm well prepared. Once again, thanks everyone for being here and taking the time to support me in this little venture on YouTube and Facebook and all things about the steamroller. And as most of you know, Anzac Day tomorrow, we're just going to be watching it from home. In previous years, many years, my mum and dad, who are usually here watching, I don't think they're watching tonight, they're helping out my brother today on a big trip, went and brought in another car. And so they've only got home about an hour and a half ago. We used to be heavily involved with the Military Jeep Club of Queensland, and I should have found a photo, and which played a supporting role in the main parade in Brisbane. So it was, back in the day, it was a very early start, and back then we were doing local parades in the suburb. Mum and Dad owned a military Jeep, and World War II one. I owned one as well. And we used to do the various parades and then make our way into Brisbane for the main parade, and that was always a big event. And of course, the event is still a big event, a big day for all those concerned and all those involved, you know, emergency service people and various others and all that sort of everything that goes on behind that a lot of people don't see. However, the number of World War II diggers has dwindled significantly as their age, you know, catches up with them, unfortunately. When we were still doing it, when I first started doing it, we still had survivors from World War I riding in the vehicles with us. And yeah, the more as you go on, you appreciate more and more. These days, even the Vietnam veterans are getting older and older. So the parade, what used to be quite a big parade, is unfortunately getting a little bit smaller, it's still commemorating the Anzacs and what they did and sacrificed for us. Excuse me. To have some of the privileges and freedom that we have today. And hello, I'll give a, where you can, folks, go to a service, dawn parade or dawn service, or even main parade in your local town, and just see what happens there. Talk to some people who have been in conflicts and get their side of the story, and more than that, but their thoughts at the time and maybe their thoughts now. Something, a conversation that everyone should have. So moving right along, we're going to give a few shout outs here. Styles, he wasn't the first in, but he's saying hello and bye, so he's a bit busy tonight. Roger's here, Peter's here. Peter was the first one in. Briskater, that's my sister. she's in the house. A few others are here. AJ, g'day, mate. He's sick of the rain too. So, yeah. Oh, thanks, Pete. Appreciate your support there, mate. Yep. The St John Ambulance and Salvation Army and a lot of other. There's a lot that goes into a parade, especially the main parade in Brisbane. And there's other parades that have a lot involved as well in the various suburbs, like Redcliffe on Brisbane's north side, Gold Coast, Sydney and other places. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Kerry. There's always a number. And Anzac Day, we used to get a shower of rain in the Brisbane city, but also the age of the diggers has also fallen. You know, their age, because of their age, they can't attend anymore, or they're not with us anymore. And we used to get a number of you got to know various people, and you know, over the years, unfortunately, you saw them. They used to turn up regularly, and then, of course, they couldn't make it because they were sick or something like that. I'm seeing that on the other. It just hasn't popped up. Here it is. Yeah. Getting war stories. Have to talk to stepfather and a few other family members served in the Royal Australian Navy. And yeah, you're right, Roger. You know, the thinking of yeah, absolutely right, Kerry. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, that you know, that we used to. It's sort of phenomenal how many people would get riding in vehicles and things like that. And yeah, unfortunately, over the years, it's dwindled. So, but anyway, hopefully you can't hear that. Oh, gee, righto. Hi, mate. Thanks for being here. No notifications. Right. That's strange. It's very strange. Yeah, there's nothing. I did have some trouble with the software. I actually had to disconnect the webcam that I got up over there, and because as soon as I plugged it in, it was defaulting to that one for whatever reason instead of this one. And I tried restarting the computer, restarting the browser, and all that. You know, that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. You know. I appreciate it, G. Thanks for being here, mate. If you guys are into food reviews or want to see food reviews, go over to this guy here, Funk and Hungry, on YouTube. He does great, does some really good food reviews. The latest one is some spicy pork crackle. They look tempting. So yeah, go have a look, see what he thought about it. G'day, First Floor Audio, Mr. Lee G, all the way from the UK. Thanks for being here, mate. Hope you're doing well. And bit of a you're a gaming man now, I see. You're going back into gaming, or you just started it? I hope you win some money from it, because I don't. But anyway, so we're going to get into it right now and talk about the steamroller. Oh, actually, no. We're just going to give you a rundown on the weather. And this is the satellite tracking at the moment. This is gives you an idea of the greater Brisbane area and the rain that we're sort of getting. We've had bits and pieces come through, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. In fact, I'll go out a bit further. Yeah, it's only us. It's only me and AJ that are really copping it at the moment. Peter, our friend up north, we'll go even further. It doesn't go quite as far as you, Pete, at the moment, unless I go national. Well, there you go. That's sort of what's happening around Australia. You can see it's concentrated over Brisbane. But, yeah, anyway, hopefully it'll go away and it'll fine up soon. And spent three days at work this week, and honestly, I should have taken the time off and not bothered. It just wasn't worth it. Right. Well, we're going to start sharing a bit of yeah. We've all played a role in the Anzac Day parade, and others came before us, and others have since taken over that role. So proud to do our bit as much as we can, and that's yeah, Pete, you're right. That's radar, not satellite. But anyway, you get the idea. But anyway, it is what it is. Right, sharing screen now of. Righto. So most of you have probably seen this. If not, this is a advertisement for John Fowler and Company, or a flyer. And John Fowler and Co. Leeds England engineers. Yeah, they're quite proud of where they came from. They weren't Leeds, London. It was just Leeds, and everybody knew where Leeds was. Very big manufacturing heart. In the part of the United Kingdom. A lot of equipment came out of this area. There was other manufacturers in the area as well, Hudswell Clark and quite a few others. And it's pretty amazing area. And unfortunately, it's all been a lot of this has been lost. Some of the facades of the buildings are still around. It would be nice if I had the opportunity to go there one day and have a look, and walk the streets and just see where this steamroller was made. That would be a fantastic thing. So this was marketing 101 back in the day, road making and road maintenance, high pressure grouting and tar spraying. So you could buy a complete setup like this. You'd get the steamroller, it would have a tar tank on it, it'd have a broom, and at the back is what they call a gritter, a machine to spread the grit. So you'd spray the tar on, and then you'd put the grit down, and that would be your road surface. Now, we take road making for granted these days, and the roads we drive on today are nowhere near the standard of roads that they were driving on back when they were advertising, or when these were made. But that goes to show you, excuse me, I'm getting a bit dry in the throat. But that goes to show you the sort of advertising, and it's no different to what big companies do today, like Caterpillar and other places. And it would highlight the advantages of, maximum output of work in the given time, equal distribution of the tar over the road surfaces, finishing surface of 350 yards of road, 2.5 yards wide, with one charge of tar and grit. So that mightn't sound a lot in today's standards, but that was pretty big. And don't forget, there wasn't as many cars at the time. Most people stayed in their village, and they didn't venture out past their village or anything like that. And, you know, this was a pretty rare thing. And most of the roads probably would have been dirt or gravel or something like that, you know. So it's pretty amazing. And I found this on the internet when I first started looking at the road, you know, working on the roller, just trying to find out as much as I can. And I was really surprised at how much information we did find. And this steamroller in this flyer is the same model as the one we have here that we're working on at the moment. So moving right along, I'm going to skip through some of this stuff. I'll go back to where I finished off. And I'll roughly start again. It's all right. Yes. So once we got the roller home, let's give an overview there. Righto. So that's what the roller looked like when it was sitting in the park, and we've rediscovered some of the information about this again. Excuse me, folks, I've got to take a sip. Rereading some of the information that we got with it, I've certainly learned a few things, and there's a couple of things I missed when I first went through it. So it's good to recap. This is probably the first position they put it in, and then later on it was moved from this particular place to the actual park it's sat there. So after use, it worked. Built in 1926, landed here at the end of 1926. Let's see if I can get a photo of it, which I do have. Hang on. I'm really well prepared here. Righto, this is it. You're right, Peter, Australian roads aren't still that good. So this is the engine. Excuse me, again, I just got to take another sip. Okay, so that's when it was out of use at Allora. This is about 1961, circa 1961. As you can see, the engine was still complete. It's got a full-length canopy on it, which is good because initially I thought that it only had a short canopy. At some stage, one part of it had been removed back, and it's got all the motion covers on and things like that. And unfortunately, it is a black and white photo. I don't have a color photo of it in this condition. Hey, Cherinator, how are you? Thanks for being here, mate. So this is the roller when it was not long out of service. It's quite possible that you could have put a fire in it and driven it down the road. Yeah, Peter, thankfully they put a cover over the chimney, and when they put it in the park, they actually they welded a cover over the chimney. So that saved a lot. That really did make the difference. Even though Allora is a pretty dry sort of a place, it still covering that chimney was the best thing they could have done. And taking a look at this photo, I do have the photo, gentlemen. So how I came about this photo, there's two of them, which I'll show. We were down at Old Petrie Town one day, and we had a running day event, and a gentleman came in and gave us a heap of photos that he'd taken and was cleaning up his collection or something like that. And our president was going through the photos, and there was this one and another one, which I think, there we go, that one there. Same photo, different angle, like a 3/4 view. And this time they've got some bricks on the chimney. Excuse me again. And even in looking at this photo, you can see it was still complete. Cylinder drains were on it. Everything was still on it. The builder's plate, all that sort of stuff. Interestingly enough, there's no cap on the steering on top here. I don't think you can see that. I'll zoom in. Oh, a bit too far. Right on top here. Oh, there we go. There was no cap on there. Whether it was on there or not, I'm not sure. But anyway, since now obtained one, thanks to a gentleman in Sydney. So I'm really fortunate to have these two photos. I wish I had others, and I wish I had some colour ones, because that would answer a lot of questions on what the actual colour was. I can only go by the colours that it was in when it was in the park at Allora, which we saw before. Of course, I showed before on screen. More than likely, I'll just come back here for a minute. It more than likely got several coats of green paint or something like that when it was in the park. I'll just get back to my spot, and I'll start off again part on the restoration work from where we in fact, what I'll do is I'll start. Righto, I think last time I left off, we did take it to its first steam rally, and now that was, here we go, and there it is there at the steam rally down at Old Petrie Town. That was 2018, 2019, something like that. I could look at that and find that out, couldn't I? Oh, here we go. If I go information, 2018, 3rd of June, 2018. There you go. And then we brought it home, and then we started getting into it pretty serious, cutting off bits of weld, getting things to move, like the forward reverse lever here, taking things apart. And I'll skip through and getting undoing nuts. Most of the nuts were pretty easy to get off, thankfully, being a fairly coarse thread, type of steel and so on. Basically, it was a hammer and a spanner on them. I only had to use the hot spanner a couple of times. These all came off relatively easy, bit of penetrine, and yeah, I was really stoked and surprised at how some of this stuff came off. What we're looking at here is what we call the safety valves. So if you got excess pressure in the boiler, these valves would open up to let that excess pressure out. Most of the mechanism is missing, and I have to rebuild that, manufacture that. However, we do have the drawings to remanufacture these, which is really good. And if I didn't have the drawings, I would go and have a look at another steamroller, because a lot of these Fowler steamrollers are very much the same. So this allowed us to gain access to the regulator. This is the throttle. This part came off pretty easy. It's also pretty pitted. However, later on, I put it on the milling machine and cleaned the surface up. It's cleaned up very nicely, and it'll be, once again, it'll make it very easy to operate. Moving on to the ash pan now. When you burn something, the ash either goes on the ground, goes in a pit, or in this case on a steamroller, you just can't leave it behind. It's got to go into the ash pan. As you can see, the old one's behind, and had a new one folded up. Originally, I think they were rounded at the base. That's how they were made, but we've just gone for this fabricated style. There's still more work to be done on that. Here's Mrs. Shed Talk giving me a hand. You know, we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty and undo things and get bits and pieces sorted out, try and get things moving. At this stage, the engine was locked up, it couldn't turn over. There she is sitting in the background, and with our chook, our bio weapon. Unfortunately, the chook's no longer with us. She had a good life and gave us quite a few eggs, actually, and kept all the long grubs down and all that sort of thing. Yes, I did have a steady supply of inox, Peter, when I first started this. And this is this photo here. We're looking down into the motion of the engine, and you can see various bits and pieces covered in white paint, which was probably applied at some stage, which didn't hurt it at all. It helped, if anything. And we started getting in with our spanners and taking pins out so we could free things up and get things off and get it moving. We did actually have a car cover, and we covered the roller at one stage before we got it in the shed. In hindsight, it's probably a waste of time, but anyway, I think Dad gave me that car cover. It was left over. So we finally got things, the various bits and pieces, the weld, and we actually got it to turn over. And I'm video recording here, and Mrs. Shed Talk is about to turn this thing over for the first time in about 50 plus years. You'll just have to, the audio is really low. I'm going to have to go back but there you go. A bit hard to turn over, and we'll find out why soon. But it did turn over after we took some parts off. Pretty impressed with that, that's for sure. G'day, Becky. How are you? Thanks for being here. So we took the cylinder covers off. Well, here it is here, Peter. And when we took the cylinder covers off, we were really surprised how good it was inside. There was this build up here, whatever it was, some sort of animal or something like that, maybe native bees or something. The other side wasn't too bad. This is what they call a compound cylinder engine. So it has a low pressure, which is the bigger one here on the right of the screen, and a smaller one, which is the high pressure. So the steam goes into the high pressure first, gets used, and then it gets exhausted over here and gets used again. So it gets used twice before it gets exhausted. So there it gives you an idea. That's before I sprayed any inox or anything in there. And it just, once we sprayed some inox in here, it just turned over so much better. And I didn't actually, oh yeah, I did. There's the high pressure. And I was really surprised. I was expecting the worst, thinking that, you know, we're going to have water in there and a lot of bad pitting and so on. But here's a short video of normally you wouldn't see, what you wouldn't see. You can just see me on the right-hand side turning the flywheel. And you can see with spraying inox in there, it just turned over nicely. I'll stop that there. Longer video there, but you get the idea. And as we took various bits and pieces off, I'd clean them up. So this is the water pump. Pumps, it uses as the engine's running, it pumps water into the boiler. And that's the actual piston rod, which is quite corroded at the end, but it's now been fixed up. That's all been machined back, and yeah, it looks really nice. I have to revisit that again and just see what's going on, see if it looks all right. One of the things we did find was that This is the big end. This is on the crankshaft. Was that there's quite a bit of scoring, and there was quite a bit of pitting on the other side, on the other one, and that's because the lubricators had been taken off and disappeared. So as you can see there, Peter, we got Dinox and we're spraying it on the engine, and it lasted quite a long time. Thanks, G, for doing that. And so once we got it home, we then decided to do a trip to Rockhampton. And the reason why we did a trip to Rockhampton is because we found another steamroller of the same make. And not just the same make, but the same model. And as you can see, this one is sitting at the Rockhampton Historical Village. Great example. Since these photos were taken, this was back in October of 2018, something like that. This is now undercover and preserved. So essentially this steamroller is exactly identical to the one we got here. I must admit, a later model, not that much later, because, right, 17067, and that's the builder's number. All the engines had like a serial number, build number. The one we have is 16930. 17067, so it's probably a 1927 model, and I can still remember one day my dad was reading an ad in the Courier Mail that the Rockhampton City Council were looking for to employ people to drive the steamrollers to roll the roads in Rockhampton, and I think that was in the Courier Mail, might even been in the Telegraph or something like that. So this is the indication of the working pressure, 200-pound pressure, clean out every 10 days. Fairly rough casting that, but I would imagine it's original. And at the time, before some parts were returned to us, this particular part here was quite an interest to us because it was part of the gear selection where you'd select slow or fast, and the other two pieces, all this assembly here and the two gears that slide in each other had been missing off the roller way before we even came into ownership of it, and it was actually great to see one complete. And once again, we were going to, at some stage, I would have had to bit in the bullet and get one made, either fabricate one or, get one cast. But the stars aligned and all these parts that were missing came back to us. And I was very thankful about that. There are some parts missing still, like this part here. This is a valve which bolts on to the back of the water pump and diverts water actually into the boiler or into the tender, depending on where you have this handle. The one off our engine is missing. It's long gone. I'm going to have to get one made. It'll be a casting job. It'll be a fairly expensive thing. So it's just one of those things that, you know, in a restoration like this, you have to bite the bullet and actually get things made. Moving right along, there's another view of the steamroller at the Rockhampton Historical Village. It's well worth a visit, the Rockhampton Historical Village. A lot of unique bits and pieces, great examples of not just steam equipment, but other equipment as well. And I don't think I've seen Emma in the house, but this one hasn't got it. It's missing. So this is the close-up shot of this worm, wheel and worm, the steering mechanism. It's got some bits missing off it, which I can see there clearly. But essentially, that's the same as mine, being the same engine, of course. No cover on it. It probably rusted out like mine. This here is what they call the clack valve, which allows you to put water into the boiler. Yeah, Emma's been here before. So this is another part that we're going to have to get made. It's a casting. It's fairly involved. However, we do have the drawing, and you know, once again, it's just a case of going through the process and getting it made. Expensive, but once it's done, it won't be done again. That's for sure. It's possible I could fabricate this, but there's a lot of work. I think I'm just going to get it fabricated, get it cast. Have to get a pattern. So these are the covers here, and you know, once again, these were missing off the one ours, and you know, who knows where they went, ended up, but that's to protect. The idea of these covers were to essentially stop the horses getting scared, so to speak, because these used to work in and around horses. And I don't have a drawing, but Dan down in Melbourne, he's made up a set himself for his engine, so I can certainly get copies off his. And you know, there's others around in the UK that you can find and look at and all that sort of thing. All right, moving right along. Righto, lubricators. These things here, they were missing. We've since had new ones made. Thanks, Roger. Yeah, this knowledge didn't come overnight, mate. It's many years in the process. Even these little lubricators here, they're missing, so I need to make them up. We've had other things on the go, so you know, it's a work in progress. There's a few other examples. So when steam was displaced, they would have been replaced with this type of thing. This is a road roller, an Imperial, and it's a single-cylinder diesel, big single-cylinder diesel, and they would have replaced steam rollers, and there's two of them here. Never seen any of these running, but I would imagine they'd have some power behind them, you know. And of course, you don't have to light them up and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, some great examples in this historical village. Things like, you know, old posters and that sort of thing. It's great to see this sort of stuff. And there's an example of what, you know, this is a McDonald roller, great example, and that would have displaced the steam roller as well. However, even these rollers, as you can see, it's out of use. Even they were displaced by more modern rollers. They also had this one here. This is a Marshall steam roller. Now this is a big one. This is a 12-ton in working order. That's a big roller. You know, when you stand beside it, you can tell it's a big steam roller compared to the other one. No, not Ronald McDonald's, but so now we're back into the shed, and we're starting to clean up parts. So this is parts of the motion. This is in the old shed, the old bench, that sort of thing. As you can see, we cleaned up the rust and going through the process there of surface rust removal. Once again, this is all, you know, close to 100-year-old steel, and it's still in good order. The other thing you can see in this photo, let's see up close here, everything was stamped nicely with numbers, so you couldn't go wrong. When you put this thing back together, you just can't go wrong. Everything's got a number, and you just follow it through. Then we moved on to removing. I brought the truck from home, and you can see behind us that there's an excavator in there, and that was when the the start of the townhouses that are now next door starting to get built. I borrowed the crane truck from work to remove the crankshaft and flywheel out of the steamroller. And on this particular day, there's an example of the welds that they put on things when these things. No, you're right, Pete. It doesn't. So some of these welds were quite easy to come off. Some were a bit harder than others, and we're taking bearing caps off, and that was the condition of the bearings, taking them out. You can still see the machine tool marks when they were milled. We believe this is the original. Is there thunder? Righto, Kerry. We haven't got any thunder up here. Yeah, we believe these are the original bearings, and you can see that the way they're set up here, this is a 4-piece bearing. So each one can be individually shimmed. However, this thing, once when we turned it over like just like clockwork. It was absolutely beautiful. More rain. I don't know whether you can hear it. You can see here the marks of it being in one place for a long time. But once again, there was a lot of oil around here and things came off. So this is, then it was then to be son-in-law. It's now son-in-law now. He's given me a hand on the day, and I'm working the crane truck. So we had it rigged up like this, nicely balanced, and it came out real easy. I don't think I ever got any video of this, but we were quite proud of ourselves. No real problem taking it out. Let's scoot on here. And once again, the roller's now sitting there in the yard with no crankshaft in it. And then we started working on, this is the top of the boiler where we discovered a lot of built up dirt and debris, and and this is where we found some issues. However, we're in the process of sorting those issues out. Right, getting onto the wheels here, or the rear rolls. Now, we believe this is the original lining. It is red, you can see that quite well, and however, we're in the understanding that these engines came out in a couple of colours, black, chocolate. Chocolate was a colour, and yeah, maybe one or two others. They didn't have the, back in the day, they only had like natural pigments to make colours, so they're very limited on their colour range. So I'm not sure whether this engine was chocolate or black or what, and whether the wheels were just red in colour. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it, mate. So it's a real sort of basket, to find out what colours it was. And if we had the build sheet or the erecting sheet, then we'd know exactly what it was. So here's a very young shed dog when she used to jump up onto forklifts and curl up. Unfortunately, she doesn't do that anymore. But anyway, very young shed dog. Righto, so we start stripping down the crankshaft and take the flywheel off. We did get the flywheel off successfully. There you go there. Took a bit of work. And once again, there's the crankshaft with a very young shed dog sitting there, quite happy to be in the shed with herself. The interesting process of taking the counterweights off. You can see here, this stuff here. Well, back in the day, they didn't have the fancy Loctite and things like that. What they had was lead. And when these things were bolted into place, with a split pin. Then they'd fill up the holes with lead. It was all heated up and the lead was melted in. And g'day, Mark. How are you? Mark's the offsider that helps me out on running days. We work well together down at the steam shed at Old Petrie Town. We look after the steamroller Marion down there. So the forklift in this photo is the one from work before I even brought a forklift, and that was a fantastic forklift. She's an old one, but absolutely fantastic, and those dual wheels just made the world of difference. I wish, unfortunately, they sold that forklift, and I wish I was able to buy it, but we weren't able to. But it certainly did a great job of towing the roller around. And here comes the rain. And a few times there, Mrs. Shed Talk was quite proud of herself, and she's steering the steamroller while I'm pushing it with the forklift. We used a spanner to steer the roller around, and that's probably why the shaft's a bit bent at the moment. So, oh yeah, brought a forklift ages ago, Kerry. Yeah. Right, let's move on through here. We're starting to... Right, there it is there. There's the forklift with Dad sitting on it and a very young apprentice. That young apprentice is a lot taller than that now. So that's the forklift. After I brought the roller, the next thing I brought was a forklift, and that forklift is still with us today and behind me over there. You've seen it in many videos. It's been a great machine and probably one of the best and cheapest purchases I've brought. Only paid $2,500 for that. That's that was a bargain. So, as mentioned before, there's only a few times I really had to get the hot spanner out and make things red hot and burn rust off and things like that to get various nuts undone. Actually, there's a better photo, not as blurry. The process was, and it still happens today, that as we work on things, as we took things off, we'd clean them up, fix them up as best we could, or we would, work on getting new ones made. And we've done that. So that's the chimney base that came off. The rust got underneath it and broke it apart, being cast iron. I could repair it, but there's a lot of work in it, and got two new ones made, one for me and one for young Dan down in Melbourne with his roller. So I'm going to skip through this real quick. Right. This is, I'll flick back and forth here. Been going a while. So this is one of the rear rolls. Once again, the old shed, and you can see that we've got some cracks in one of the bearings. Now, we'll do a close-up shot. That's what, 1926 to 1960, that's about 44 years of work. That's a cast iron bearing, and it was starting to show its age, cracking and things like that. A bit blurry, that photo. So we worked on getting that out. And of course, in the meantime, as we took things apart, we're washing the boiler out, and we're just getting heaps of built up lime scale out of the boiler. You can see the debris coming out there. Oh yeah, Kerry, you're right. The forklift was really a bargain. Right, as you can see, all that lime scale sitting on the bottom, and this is probably about this third washout we'd done. It was unbelievable the amount of lime scale that we got out of there, and we still got even more out when it was just unbelievable. Anyway, and there's still more in there. Moving on through, when we I had a set of scales, and when we took things off, we wanted to know how heavy things were. So this gives you an idea. This is the rear rolls, and they weigh 1/2 ton each. Originally, they might have been a little bit heavier because they had worn over time. So each one weighs about half a ton. The front rolls here, we've weighed them. They're about a half a ton each. This whole front assembly is about 1.5 ton. So anyway, so I got the wife to put me up in the forklift one day and do an aerial shot looking down. And that's about as high as the forklift can go, which is 4.3 meters in the air, looking straight down. I was quite impressed with myself, but the wife was a bit scared of me being up that high. As you can see that the forklift is right up high, and I'm standing on it. You can just see the edge of the pallet, and great aerial view, that one, with one wheel missing, of course. Once again, Shed Dog and Chook, they got used to each other after a while. A bit touch and go initially, but yeah, the Chook would stand up to Shed Dog if she tried anything. It's quite funny, actually. I do miss her. The Chook used to hang around. I suppose having another animal, not of her type, but and the Chook would also at times sit down under the roller, as Chooks do. This is looking up underneath. Righto, moving right along. Right, these things here, they're the cast iron bearings, solid bits of cast iron, which I end up roughing out on this lathe here at home. What we're looking up here, we're looking up underneath the boiler, and that's some of the original boiler lagging, and they used timber. And as you can see, it's quite petrified, a lot of oil build-up. I do have some examples of the timber that we're lucky to sort of recoup, but most of it was all rotten away. Yours truly up inside the firebox. I can just fit in there. These things are absolutely wonderful. I'm in there, I'm wire brushing or doing something. I just forget what I was doing. There's some more photos of the wheel and the cracked bearing. And you can see the lining there. Let's move along here. Just give you an idea, even though these are half a ton, I'll show you how easy they are to turn around. Right, there you go. So that's who's the plonker? Kerry, plonker is another name for a twit. It's more of an English name. So our friend Funk and Hungry is expat Pom, and he's a bit of a plonker at times. So there's Mum. Back when things were a bit different at home. And this is Shed Dog poking her nose through the wheel because we're giving them some treats. And that's Mum and Dad's dog, Honey. Honey's no longer with us. And Honey and Shed Dog used to get on really, really well. Yeah, Mark Abbott. Yeah, Mark's an expat Pom, so you know what plonker is, don't you, Mark? Here's Mrs. Shed Talk, quite pleased with herself. I got her to hold up the bearing. We had a bit of a struggle getting that out. Dad was giving me a hand. You can see that we're both going a bit bald. And one of the interesting things that we found here is some of the writing that's on the roller. And this was painted on when it came over here. So that actually says Brisbane. That's sort of shipping details. It's a bit of a close-up shot, but there's some more lettering, and that was painted on when it was shipped over, so 100 years old. That lettering's still there. I don't know whether it's going to get preserved or not. It probably won't. And you can see it there, just at the back there, you can see Brisbane. You know, so that was making sure it got to the right place. Now this is a lubricator. This thing supplies oil to the cylinders to make sure they stay lubricated. A Menzel Brothers lubricator, and I found some original documentation to say that these were fitted to the roller. So here we are. I'm starting to machine the the bearings, or roughen down the size. I should have got the place I got the stuff off. I should have got them to do a lot of the machining. However, good old lathe got into it, and I probably need to put this in a video. And you can see here I'm taking a cut, mounted in the 4-jaw chuck, running in reverse, and I think that's about a 2 mil cut or something like that. For a small lathe of this size, you know, it done really well. And yes, I took it out. The axle size is 4-inch. It was solid, so I've taken it out to something like 3.5 or 3 3/4 or something. Right, moving right along. So it took us a while before we actually took the 2 wheels off. There we see the forklift getting ready to slide one of the wheels off, the other side that is. And then we, once we had the wheels off, we got in, started cleaning out the tender. And this is what the tender looked like before. You know, we took the plate off the bottom, and we had all sorts of rust and debris. And just all sorts of things. So we found this, we found the original strainer that was inside, and this just all came out of the tender. And we found these. Now, these are what they call a throwdown, stubby throwdown, made by Carlton United Breweries back in, I think, the 80s or something like that. I think they were 200 mil or something, very small. And it's amazing what we found as we dug around. There's pretty well everything that came out of the tender, rust and debris and whatever else came out, whatever people threw in. Once again, another rare occasion where I got the hot spanner out to do something. Peter, turn your eyes away, mate. You can see that I'm in my safety boots using the hot spanner. I'm sure the safety man wouldn't have liked that. I don't know, maybe Mark, you could make a comment about that, mate. Using the hot spanner in the safety boots, the old Chinese safety boots. Is a night shot with the roller at both wheels off. More, yeah, we've had more rain here. Various close-up shots of washout plugs. This one here on the side of the boiler, let's go here, it's a better shot, was just covered in crud, and pretty sure it hadn't been out since it was put in there when it was made. Yep, classic Japanese safety boots. And I'm probably going to round this up pretty soon, mainly because I've been going like an hour now, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic. This is one of the, so this engine was fitted with a handbrake, and these are one of the brake shoes. That's original timber and bolts. So it's over 100 years old, and this timber is popola. It's a fairly soft timber, and that was used for the brakes. As you can see, I've only got one sample of this, and I'm going to have to make another one of those that you see on screen, the steel part and the timber to go on it. Yes, Mark was welding before. I've got some bits and pieces for you, Mark, too. So this is a drawing of the clutch gear that I was talking about, and you can see on the drawing it has neutral, fast speed, and slow speed. And they were pretty fast. That's the original firebox door, pretty bad condition. We managed to cobble that together and use it as a pattern to get a new one made. And we're looking at the injector and various other parts here. I'll just keep going through. And these are parts, this is what they call the sand cover, which goes on the end of the axle to keep your sand out, of course. And that's it. That's pretty well it. I did, at one stage, we're lighting up, once again, doing some work at night time and using the hot spanner to loosen things up and getting some smoke going. I did find some photos somewhere back here. We did actually put a fire in it at one stage just to give the effect of some smoke coming out, but I probably can't find that right now. That was way back when. Yeah, anyway, I think I'll stop sharing that now and get it back to me. I don't know, mate. I'll get back to you on that, but I'll send you a photo of what's sitting in the back of the ute. So I've been going on just over an hour now, and I think I'm going to wrap it up about that. I'm starting to get pretty dry in the throat, and I'm pretty sure you guys are all getting pretty bored about what we've been talking about. But it's a slow process. Any restoration like this is it's fair. There's a lot involved. I've been at it 8 years now with the help of my wife, family, friends, other, yeah, it's just one of those ongoing things. And if I had a job where I wasn't on the road every day and I could maybe spend some time at work and actually do it like I used to when I worked inside a factory, I'd certainly have a lot more done, that's for sure. But anyway, life goes on. In the meantime, since one thing I may not have mentioned, during this time of the 7 years that we've been working on it, we built the shed. We've been working on the wife's shed. I also broke my ankle. So there was three, almost 4 months there that I didn't do any work on the roller. When we're building this new shed, there was another 3 months that we didn't do anything on the roller. So, there's probably almost a period of 12 months if you take into, various other things that nothing sort of happened. But we're getting there. That's the main thing. And it's just great to have the support of you guys, that come in each week and keep watching, and I really appreciate it. So thanks, everyone. We're going to go out with our, hopefully we're going to go out with our exit video as we normally do. If not, you might just see me staring at the screen. But anyway, thanks again. See you all next week. Take care of each other. Say good day to your mum or your dad or whoever, and we'll all talk to you later. Bye for now. Whistle time.